All right, guys, we are back for another episode of Stock Shot Secrets. And before we start, just to tell you a little bit about it, there is no doubt that your brain can ruin your golf swing, right? Like, when you always guys hear me say, like, your brain dictates your body, and your body dictates the club, and the club dictates the ball, and the ball dictates your score. And for me, with that whole thing, my brain as a player is the reason I became a coach and never reached my potential as to how good I could have been based upon my body and my club and my ball, right? So the brain ultimately is king of the castle, and I want to tell you a little bit about how you can conquer this gremlin so that you can always play better on the course and not feel like you're just a golf ball whacker guy on the range that hits it good, but bad on the course. So let me share. So the big question is this: how do passionate golfers like you and I develop a stock shot day in and day out? A stock shot that's as reliable as the sun coming up in the morning. That's the question, and this podcast is the answer. Welcome to Stock Shot Secrets. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Stock Shot Secrets. I'm Kyle Morris, and thank you so much for joining. You probably noticed that the sound quality is better because you guys have been loving these episodes, and we wanted to make it so that not only can you hear it, but you can also see it. So you can also go and you can see this maybe on YouTube, or you can see it on Spotify, or wherever you're looking at, and be sure if you like it to be able to send it to a friend. But what I want to do today is I want to talk about we had one of my mental performance coach, Sean Feehan, and he was talking about the gremlin. And the gremlin and self-talk, I feel like, is epidemic in amateur golfers, because it can absolutely destroy your round and make it feel like you can never take your range game to the course. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, like, okay, what in the world is a gremlin, right? Like, I could just see the gremlin dude that was, like, in those movies in the 90s. I forget what his name was, but he was kind of furry and, like, it didn't look very attractive. Like, that's what I look at when I think of a gremlin. And for me, the gremlin that was sitting and talking to me through these rounds of golf while playing professional golf, you very well could argue that that is also what ruined my professional career and also what led me into becoming a teacher, right? Because, it never allowed me to really reach my full potential to reach the levels of professional golf that I wanted to do. So when you think about this gremlin, right, the gremlin is really the idea that it's something to where right before you are getting ready to take the shot, your brain leaves and it's like, squirrel. And then you think about something else, right? Or it's something where you have negative self-talk, or something that is like anything that is coming to you that is a conviction that's like, you suck, man. Like, you're going to flub this chip, which I heard a lot. Or you're going to, like, chunk a chip or hit in the water or whatever it is. That gremlin can ruin your swing. So the question is the first thing is, like, how are you going to deal with the gremlin? And how are you going to make sure that that gremlin is not ruining your scorecard where you're playing great maybe through 12 holes, and then all of a sudden the gremlin shows up and it's like, oh my gosh, I just put in that dude's pool and now I just made it triple. So the gremlin, the first thing that we have to have an awareness of is we have to have an awareness of this gremlin, of the self-talk that is happening in your brain where you are telling yourself a self-sabotaging statement that is not true. Right? And even if you do think it's true, where you're like, I do suck, Kyle. Like, I top drivers and I hit him out to the right and hit him in that dude's pool like every time. I always hit it bad on this hole, right? We need to basically create a framework for you so that when you're over a shot, you can get out of your own way and you can get out of your brain and into your body, right? So the question is, it's like, what are you going to do in those moments? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to have an awareness that you have negative self-talk happening. Right? So you have to have a very keen sense of this brain. Now, to be honest, which probably isn't a very good, I guess, plug for what we're talking about now, is I started working on sports psychology and like mental performance at like the age of 13. So by the age of 13, I was working with an amazing sports psychologist by the name of Dr. Todd Kays. And Todd was great in the fact that he was helping me, but the problem was because I got so into this as a young age, I became really hypersensitive to what my thoughts and what my feelings were, like in the midst of moments, right? So I was like, if I wasn't in peak performance, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not in the right state of mind. I got to back off, right? And this would end up leading to if you guys have been like listening, or if you haven't listened to yet to like the Tour Life episodes where Leslie and I are talking about Hawkinsville, Georgia, you can hear like one of the things of me playing was just that like I would get in my own way and I'd play slow. And the reason is because I had to be like in the perfect mindset to hit a shot of quality. And it was so hard because the standard was so high that it was hard for me to get out of my own way. And I was super sensitive, hypersensitive to this self-talk when I was over a ball. So with that said, though, we do need to have an awareness of what this self-talk is, right? So when, let's say, the self-talk is coming at you and you are starting to think, or I'm sorry, you are starting to say certain things to yourself, you have to be able to catch it and go, no, 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 right? Like, and acknowledge that it's there, and then say, okay, now I need to acknowledge it, and then I need to let it go, right? So once we have acknowledged that we are having negative self-talk, the next thing is we have to have the medicine to combat it. So I always use the analogy of, hey, like if I have the sense of a little tiny bit of a cold, right? Like, so like a week ago, I had a little tiny sense of a cold coming on, just a hint, right? Like a little scratch in my throat, maybe a little thing in my nose. And what do? Like I go home, I take some echinacea, I take some vitamin C, I take like a probiotic. Like I do these things to try to get ahead of it because I sense that it's coming. Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Stock Shot Secrets podcast. If you are enjoying it, be sure to like this episode. Be sure to subscribe so you can always see when they're coming out. And most importantly, if you would be so kind to be able to share this podcast with other passionate golfers who are trying to get better and build stock shots, because it grows through you sharing it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And now back to Stock Shot Secrets. So for me, or for you, like on the course, when you have those moments where you go, man, I always play bad on this hole, or I hate dogleg lefts, or I always have, for me, it was like into the grain chipping in Bermuda, right? It's like, I know this is coming, right? And I can sense that it's coming. So now I need to have the remedy or the medicine, which is like the vitamin C, the echinacea, the, probiotic, to combat that symptom that is happening, right? So to combat that symptom that's happening, the easiest thing to do is to focus on your breathing. So with your breathing, right, there's actually a physiological sense that when you have a sense of in your soul, there's a sense of cortisol or DHEA. And like I've said in other Stock Shot Secrets episodes, like your DHEA is like your high chemical thing that like is really, really up. And that's like what makes you feel happy. And then your cortisol is the one that makes you want to wrap your clubs around a tree. So when your cortisol levels get above your DHEA levels, it takes 8 hours for those puppies to reset. So that's why you could go to sleep like super angry, and then you wake up and it's a brand new day, right? So that's why these chemical imbalances is really important for you to stay on top of it and always have higher levels of DHEA than what you started with, right? And that's a whole nother thing of like what's some process goals when you're playing. But when you have this negative self-talk, the best thing you can do is do what I was doing, right? Like I wasn't doing anything wrong, which is essentially like you need to back off the shot and you need to breathe, right? You need to take like 6 seconds in, 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out. And they're really deep, right? Like they're in through your nose, and then they're out through your mouth, and they're all the way down into your abdomen, right? To where your tummy is getting like really fat, like you're pretending like you're pregnant, like it's a... And you could feel it like at the bottom of your stomach, almost like when you're breathing in, it's going in all the way to the back of your spine and then down through your stomach. So what this does, it basically cools out your heart rate rhythm and heart rate variability, and then makes it so that you can chill. Because if you think about it, like when you play golf, you play a 5-hour round of golf, right? You're actually only playing golf for 1 minute. Like that's how long you're actually making a pattern. And you're playing golf for about 24, 25, 26 minutes, depending upon like how things are going, right? That means there's 4.5 hours for this gremlin to come out and basically start talking to yourself and whispering to you all these lies. So we need to first have an understanding, either A, in the midst of that gremlin talking, hey, I hear it, I acknowledge it, now let me do a self-defense into it. And then secondly, after we do that, or if we know when it's coming, so like for me, if I missed a green, right, because just being honest, like if you look at my stats, like I used to keep stats all the time, and I would hit like 14, 15, 16 greens around. So when I missed a green, because my chipping was poor, that's when I knew this thing was about to come, and I was going to feel this thing in my heart. So I would start to breathe it out. I would start to like calm my breath, breathe through my nose, down through my stomach, and try to get ready essentially for the fight, right? The fight for the next shot, because I wanted the next shot to perform well. So that's where this breathing comes in. And then after you do that, then it's a matter of you just going through your process, right? So you're going up to the shot, you have your think box, so you're going, okay, how's my lie? Where do I want to land it? What's my loft or trajectory? And then what club, right? And then you're standing over it behind the ball. You're asking yourself, okay, what does a good shot look like here? So you're feeling it, you're making your practice swing, you're seeing it, what's a good shot look like here? Then you walk into it and you trust it, right? And when you're doing that, when you're trusting it and you're trying to pay attention to an intention, all you're trying to do is do something that keeps you aware of something inside your five senses. So that's sight, touch, taste, smell, and hearing. So that's where when you're over the shot, you're either feeling your feet, you're feeling the looseness in your jaw, the softness in your shoulders, softness in your arms, you're visualizing a perfect shot, you're singing a song, you're listening to the birds, you're smelling the grass, like whatever it is, it's something within your five senses so that you can stay present moment. And that's the whole goal of this thing, is to be there where your 2 feet are and be aware of like the present moment of where you are, rather than standing over the ball and right before you swing it, you go, don't hit it in the pool. And then you do that, right? Like you just hit in the pool. And the brain is so powerful, right? Like just as an experiment, if you guys were to close your eyes, right? So close your eyes just for a second, unless you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're closing your eyes, right? Now, as hard as you possibly can, make sure that you do not, without a doubt, do not picture a pink elephant in your brain. You definitely just pictured a pink elephant in your brain. So the thing is that when you're playing golf and you go, don't want to hit it in the water. Don't do this. Don't do that. You are saying, like, hit it in the water. Because your brain will not know and does not hear the negative word association with the sentence that you were saying. So now you have to learn how to talk to yourself. And who is with you all the time when you play golf? Who is all the time with you? You. You are with yourself all the time. So how you talk to yourself is what you think of yourself, which is how you feel on a golf course. So you need to be aware of your self-talk. And if your self-talk sucks, you suck. We don't want to suck. So like, we want to play good. So that's where you need to be managing and understanding your self-talk. And when you feel like that negative self-talk comes out, you need to say to the gremlin, like, get off my shoulder. I need you to go away. I have some things to do, right? And this is not only just good for golf, it's just good for life, right? So give it a go. Make sure you acknowledge the gremlin. Be sure to breathe when you feel it. And we'll see you back here again for the next episode of the Stock Shot Secrets. And we'll see you soon. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the latest episode of the Stock Shot Secrets. Now, I want to give you a special opportunity where you and I can chat individually by just simply texting the following number. And you can ask any question under the sun about anything relative to your game or your skill, body, mind, whatever it is. So just text me at 614-541-1988. That's 614-541-1988. Subscribe to our text line, and then you can be in the special Stock Shot community where we can talk about everything under the sun regarding stock shots.